Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. It is indeed our Star Trek Picard after show, and I am indeed Christian Bladt, joined this week certainly by Flobo Boyce.
Let's go Mets, baby. What's up?
Let's go Mets.
Hey.
New content every day
It's
from
true.
Flobito. And we possibly may be joined by another friend, but we also might not. But Flobo, welcome back to the Picard After Show. When I asked if you could periodically be on with us, I never realized what a huge ask it would be to have to talk about this show for an hour. We're talking about season 2, episode 7, Monsters.
Yeah.
And I am going to be 100% upfront.
Be real with me, Christian.
I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with Craig, who will probably be watching the archive after the fact.
What's up, Craig?
I hate this show.
I
do not enjoy this show.
The show,
not the one that me and you and I, not what you and I are doing is great.
No,
I'm talking Picard.
It's a minute in. Yes, I hope it's good.
Yeah.
The entire series.
No, well, I mean, so we did season 1 over at AfterBuzz TV, and I didn't love it. There were things that I think worked. There were things that I thought didn't work. There's things I liked about it. But when we went into season 2, I think I even said on this show or possibly on the Discovery show, talking about how we were going to be getting into it. And speaking of someone who was there with us, of course, Frank Moran, Frank extremely meh Picard, because 2 weeks ago he was meh. And last week, Frank, you were very meh. Was that it? Or
yes.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how meh you are when
levels in his madness. What up, Frank?
Flobo! New content every day.
Hey.
So, Frank, I was just cluing Flobo into how before this season started that I felt like it couldn't possibly be as bad as season 1, and we were going to be in for something better. And I have gone on record as not being a Q fan because Q is magic and magic doesn't belong in Star Trek. However, I disliked season 1 of Picard so much. I welcomed Q with open arms. And I did not realize how wrong I was on all of that. And Frank, you've heard me say it a couple of times. Flobo has not heard me say this. Picard really is the Galactica 1980 of Star Trek. It is the set in the present day, cost cutting, just bad. And it hurts for me to dislike a Star Trek show like this. You know, I've run my mouth off about Voyager and Enterprise. You don't know what you got till it's gone, because those never made me feel like this. And I think it's because it's Jean-Luc. And I love Jean-Luc. I still love Jean-Luc. Even watching these 7 episodes, I still love Jean-Luc. And of course, I love Sir Patrick Stewart. That's a given. But I still love the character. And I don't know, Frank. I usually try to be positive on these shows. I usually joke about how you're the doom and gloom. You're the black cloud hanging over us.
Wow, what a nice guy.
Do I sound like your inner monologue right now, or
Yes.
Maybe you're the ray of sunshine this week?
Oh no, that's not going to be the case.
I really expected extremely mad to be a ray of sunshine. That's
I didn't really. Yeah,
I did. I want to leave the option open that a series set predominant a science fiction futuristic show set predominantly back in time, a little bit in our future, 2024, could be, in theory, an entertaining program. If it was just written better. This is not that version of that series. So, I mean, I think you could still do a skimped down, lower budget Star Trek if that was the kind of mandate for the season.
Yeah,
but they just didn't hit those. You still, if the story's good, I can forgive the budget, but the story is just not good. And so the
story is very bad. And by the way, growing up, my favorite Star Trek movie, Star Trek 4. Set in a lot of it set in the present day. It can work. It can work really well. This does not work. Now, Flobo, we haven't talked to you since I don't know. Have we only talked the first episode, or did you join us one other time since then? It's been a while.
I think I did at least 2, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think you did a second one. So yeah, and now you're back for episode 7. So
Did you talk
and
to
what
Alaska about Star Trek?
Oh,
what was that?
Alaska has Star Trek. They love that thing over there, man. But they're
So,
more
yeah.
TNG, if you be honest with me.
That doesn't sound about right.
It's brand new out
But
there. No, I'm just kidding.
what I remember telling you, Flobo, when you weren't on the show, I messaged you that I had found someone who I disliked much more than Raffi.
Yeah.
And it was Seven/Annika's alternate timeline husband. Who
Oh yeah.
was such a terrible character. And I was like, no, you're way better off with Raffi. And then also, speaking of your girl Raffi, I
Yeah.
jinxed us because last week I said I tipped my hat that, you know what, at least the JL quotient is down to 0 and she's not calling him JL anymore because she's mad because everything's too serious. And then like 30 seconds into this episode, she said, come on, JL. And I'm like, God damn it, I got nothing. Literally got nothing.
That's his nickname, Christian Bladt. Come on.
No one else calls him that. You got to earn
because
that
Raffi's cool.
No.
Look, I just say this. I said this a bunch of times. For those who are jumping in, for someone who did not grow up with TNG, it felt good to have Raffi be that person because she was basically my audience surrogate because I didn't really know the adventures he was on. But that said, this series, a season and a half in, does not know what it wants to be. Is it supposed to be the continuation of Picard in space? Is it supposed to be NCIS Los Angeles 2024? Is it supposed to be medieval times? I have no idea. Every week is a grab bag. The Borg Queen's hanging out. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is wildly inconsistent from week to week. And but it really just, it comes down to the fact that it's bad. And it a lot of times just doesn't make sense. And Brent Spiner trying to run over Patrick Stewart in a car. I mean, this episode was worse than that one because it was just boring. Like, I can't put my finger on why this story seems so familiar. The exploring the subconscious and something about a mom who was really crazy. But I have either read or watched this before. It's not in Picard, but I'm like, I have dealt with this dynamic, this remembering the mom who went crazy. It's like, it's all very familiar. It's also very basic storytelling. And I'm just angry about it, you know, because I was just like, you have this potential. You bring Jean-Luc Picard back. And honestly, Frank, I'd rather watch him make breakfast with Kirk.
I agree because it's the idea. I can understand as an actor why Patrick Stewart would be allured by coming back. It's like, all right, hey, we're really going to dive deep.
Sure, of
into
course.
Picard, something that we didn't really get to do too much in the Next Generation or the films. So that's great, a little bit more character piece. But it's the avenue they decided to pursue is an avenue I had zero interest in. It was like a question I never even had. But the show's decided that, oh, this is a question that has to be answered. This particular kind of character trait of Picard's, which for me never came up. To me is like, oh man, why is Picard alone? What's his deal? I've never had that thought about him. But the show has decided, no, this is a big issue, and we're going to tell you why it's a big issue. And the way they're telling it to me, it's like, this is not an entertaining story. If you're to dive deeper into a character that I really like, but showing me something that I have zero interest in.
Is that the why we got the early season 3 trailer? You think it's kind of like, yeah, we know we kind of crapped the bed here. Man, stick with us.
Yeah, because when we talked about that last week, I said that has to be the only reason why they would do it mid-season. I mean, what a great thing to tack on the end of the season 2 finale is that. And they're like, we shouldn't wait for that because people might not stick around for episode 10. I legitimately think you're absolutely right, Flobo, and that's why we got that when we did. Because us old timers, we're excited and we're like, well, I'm not going to quit on season 2 now because I got to see them set up season 3.
Right.
And season 3 is going to give us basically what we want. So season 2 is whatever it is what we don't want, you know? and I can't. I can't even. I can't even enjoy the stunt casting of what is his name? John Callis, I think is his name. He played
Yes.
Baltar
Oh,
on
James Callis.
James Callis, yeah. I know what I did. I took John Colicos, who was the original Baltar in the 70s, and I merged their names. But this was Baltar on the Battlestar Galactica reboot, which I like that show very much. It was definitely a little bit flawed, but he was always a high point on that show for me. So seeing him play a younger version than we've seen before of Picard's dad, that could have been fun. Um, it was not. It was a very annoying device that he was in therapy when we start, and that he's in therapy with his dad, and that his dad really wasn't maybe the bad guy that he thought he was, and I could not care less about any of
Wow.
it.
My feeling with James Callis, which is unfortunate, is the whole time is that he has that unfortunate resemblance, at least to me, to Bashir. So the whole
Yeah.
time I was just watching it going, wait, should it be Bashir instead?
Right.
So I felt like it was just I kept on like, no, that's not Bashir. That's Baltar. So I just felt like that. I don't know why they decided to cast it with somebody that was so close to somebody that is a well-known
Well,
character in Star Trek.
showrunner Terry Matalas worked on Battlestar Galactica, and he also had James Callis in his series 12 Monkeys, which was much better than this, by the way. I loved the series 12 Monkeys. I thought it was great. I think the movie might not actually hold up. I'm telling you the truth. Watching that 12 Monkeys movie again, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yikes. But I don't know, Flobo. So you have, you're 7 episodes in, and we've only talked to you sporadically.
Yeah.
You're talking about how the show doesn't know what it's wanted to be. What do you think that it has done well? ... If anything.
I think the problem is it's like a charcuterie board, man. You're crowding the palette. If it's going to take place as a second series with Picard dealing with not settling down and being himself, that's fine. If it's going to go back in this like direct art to get out of the past to fix the Q timeline, that's fine. If it's going to be this like Elnor rescue mission to help go back to where we were, that's also fine. But we're getting that plus this tacked on Rio's love plot on top of this ticking time bomb. Now the FBI is involved. I go, well, what are we doing? Like hard fiction? Are we doing like the lone gunman kind of science fiction? I'm not sure what the show is. So to answer your question, everything I've given is right. It's just all at once.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. And I think somehow I was talking about how the show in general feels familiar. Unfortunately, this episode, and we're going to go right to the end of it, even though we've only been talking for 13 minutes because we're done. No, we'll circle back. But because you brought it up, it's derivative of itself in that we had the episode earlier in the season that ends with Rios being taken into custody. And then we have this episode that ends with Picard and Guinan being taken into custody. And the common moment, both of them leaving their communicator behind. Picard this time intentionally. And I don't know. I mean, I've watched a lot of procedurals. I've seen a lot of movies. And yes, as a younger man, I had time to read books. I have never seen any branch of law enforcement identify themselves as law enforcement and not say LAPD, FBI, CIA, Secret Service, something.
Well,
But instead, we are law enforcement.
A lot of things change in 2 years. Law enforcement, as you know, is going to be really different.
Law enforcement TM.
You know what? You're right. Okay, I'll peel that one back. But Frank, it's like they ended the same way as I don't know what that was, episode 2, maybe. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. I think episode 3, but it was frustrating. I completely agree. And when that happened, it was just another one of much like when Girardi started singing, and I let out a really long sigh. I did the same thing when the arrest happened. I'm like, we're dragging this out even more? Come on, guys.
Yeah, they
You
could
should
have.
know. If you book Jake Carnes, he's going to be a federal agent or a cop. That's all he does.
That's fair.
Yeah, but it's just like we were so close to actually moving this deal along. I finally, when Picard decides to take it on the offensive, like, all right, here, let's figure out what Q's thing is, and then play offense with them. Like, great, we're finally starting to go there, and then they throw this monkey wrench in, and I'm just like, just when we're actually trying to get to something, we now have this delay.
Let's distract ourselves with some niceties. Craig Robinson across the pond says, "Hey guys,
probably 5 a.m. in England. What is he doing?"
Flo, but you were here. They, of course, are staying up for this.
Yeah.
5 a.m. though? Are you staying up or getting up early at that point?
Maybe he's getting up early. Maybe he's about to go for a run.
Yeah, drinking egg whites and jump rope.
Dominica Saxon, why did the Watcher, with all of her powers, have to use tech to get in Picard's mind? The answer to every question is because it's terrible. But you can then dissect that into because they had no idea.
He's synthetic. That's why. Remember they gave him a body of a 9-year-old man?
Did they give that reason?
No, but I'm just saying I would assume because after the end of season 1, he has a synthetic body that's somehow a 95-year-old man anyway. He's not really a human in that way.
So also, by the way, this is perfect timing. Our friend Tom Kelly, who was on the show in the past, and I will probably get on the finale. He texted me a little while ago. He said, having trouble getting more than 5 minutes into Picard. He means this episode. And I said, it's the worst one ever. Possibly the worst hour of Star Trek I've ever seen. I'm probably being melodramatic. But his response, and Frank, you're going to like this. Worse than the one where Beverly had sex with her great grandpa's ghost. So I gotta say, yeah, it's not the worst hour I've ever seen. And the Enterprise series finale is worse than this. I have to say,
I would agree.
Yeah. Did you wait, Flobo? Have you seen the Enterprise series finale?
I have.
We tell Nikki to watch it every week, and she resists because she knows.
I mean, Scott Bakula.
I do love Scott Bakula, but not in this. Really, actually, only in Quantum Leap. If we're gonna be honest, that's the only time I really like it.
New Orleans is okay. I like that when he was on the NCIS.
His accent distracts me on that. I just keep
he does try really hard. Boom, 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 boom.
But yeah. So I do think that okay. So Flobo, you did have a good reason because he's synthetic. It's hard to get in there, but I don't know. I think that. I mean, I don't know why did she really help him in his mind? I mean, I guess she was like pointed like, no, look this way. And why you don't want to get unstuck, but then remember there's more. And then they don't even give us the ending. And she's like, well, we know there's more. And it's like, yeah, there's not time for that now. We got to go get arrested.
That was so frustrating. It's like, seriously, clearly there's a reason you should deal with these memories, Picard. Why? I feel like we're only choosing not to deal with them. So because we need to wait. We need to really pay it off a little later into the season.
I mean, there's 3 more episodes. Like you're gonna waste one of them getting him out of the pokey, as they say.
Who's cow?
I mean, what made it even worse was having I care zero about Picard's past with his mom. Zero.
Agreed.
Zero. Wow.
Zero. I don't care about it. I've never cared about. I mean, as I said up at top, it was something that I never knew I needed to care about, and so the show has decided I should know about it, and then the way they decided to tell me is like a tale that Picard is telling his therapist. Oh,
the TNG flashback to like when he was in the academy and how he got stabbed in the heart, but then if he didn't do that, I found that to be interesting storytelling, but you're right, I don't care about him as a kid.
No.
What character in fiction have I ever cared about what they were like as a child? Not Anakin Skywalker, I'll tell you that much.
This is pod racing.
Pod racing's cool.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, somehow something's got to be the best part of that movie. Right. But anyway, yeah, and I was just like, what is she doing in there? Oh my gosh, hold on a minute. James Lott
Oh.
Jr., 3 of his
Oh.
favorites. I think
Holy
he means
cow.
Frank is all 3 of his favorites, but we
Bada boom.
I wish.
Extremely
No,
man.
yeah.
Flobito.com has got permanent lock on James Lott Jr.
And Flobito has new content every day.
Every day.
I don't know. Flobo, if I didn't beg you to be on the show periodically, would you have kept watching Picard, or would you have just been like, maybe I don't need to finish it?
Oh, this is the exact only reason why I came with
Okay,
Picard.
that's
Because it
fair.
wasn't for me to begin with. It wasn't for me
Yeah.
to begin with in season 1. And I realized it was kind of like a nostalgia thing. The second one tried to give us a fresh slate by going back in time. But now it isn't an issue to be saying, oh, there's things I have to look up. It is so random. It's like, I don't know who I'm rooting for. Because I want to root for Cristobal, but he's trying to do the whole like adorkable thing. You got
Yeah.
Girardi doing Broadway numbers and go, I want to murder the Borg Queen. I can't believe he outsmarted me. It's like, what is anyone? And poor Raffi gets dragged by Christian Bladt every week, you know. So no, I wouldn't have watched it if I wasn't.
Raffi is not the most annoying character this season.
Yeah, go
it's-
Raffi.
I do think that Girardi could get outsmarted by a toaster. What were you going to say, Frank?
Because Flobo, you said something earlier that I thought was interesting. That Raffi was kind of your gateway character into the show.
Yeah.
And interesting why you chose Raffi as opposed to like Rios.
Well,
which was also kind of like more of a blank slate character we didn't know really anything about.
Sure. So in season 1, Raffi started off not liking Picard, and Picard had to like charm her with the vineyard wine and whatever. And that was really the discussion of, hey, look, we had some kind of history together. It obviously wasn't romantic, but I respect you, to really fill in the gaps of what Picard was. Because of the small clips I saw at TNG as a kid, Picard was a badass, sitting there going, belay that order and make it so. But now he was like an old slump over old guy getting kicked out of offices. But Raffi knew who he was. So when he go remember that time, that X, Y, and Z thing, I go, okay, I get it. She was the bridge to what happened after TNG and what was Picard. That's why I liked her. That's why I was okay with the JL stuff, because no one else was on that level. But now that's totally got erased because Picard is confiding in his own thoughts and or Guinan. I go, what is Raffi doing this season? She's kind of just there to be mad.
I'd mostly be mad at 7.
Yeah.
And by the way, we can really feel the chemistry between those two in every scene they're in, right, Frank?
Oh yeah, it's I mean, it oozes off the screen. Just like, wow, man, get a room already, you guys.
But to be fair, she would be so much better off with Raffi than with her alternate timeline husband, who, I mean,
I gotta say, Jada and Frank is so entertaining. Whatever. Who cares?
No, this is
chemistry.
This is peak Frank.
Jada Frank.
It's so frustrating to have 7, who a character that we've talked about before that I enjoy, but that has had such little development on this series for a season and a half. It's frustrating that we haven't dived much into. We've just kind of name check that's like, oh, she's now in a reality where she doesn't have her Borg implants. She's kind of enjoying that, but I want more than just like Raffi just kind of making that comment. I'd love to dive a little bit more into 7, but the show is not much like Discovery. It's all Burnham focused. Well, and Picard, of course I enjoy Picard as a character, but TNG worked better when you could kind of give a little bit to the rest of the cast as well too. It didn't feel like it was just a one-person show.
Frank, I know you haven't seen the last 2 seasons of Discovery, but would it help if I told you that there's a cat now?
It's true, and she's the queen.
She's the queen.
She's the queen.
It's all right. You don't have to answer that. Dominicus Saxon, sort of to Flobo's point, didn't know who Rios was until the first episode. He's my gateway to the series. He reminds me of a younger me. That seems about right. I do find him to actually be a more interesting character than last year, like what we've gotten out of him. And I think the flirtation with the doctor didn't bother me until this week. This week was where it got to be a little too much. Mm-hmm. I thought it was like it was going to be fine, but now I mean, look, when he's making friends with the kid, I'm like, you can't do that. You're gonna get. And also, why are you beaming them onto your ship? You just show them a picture and be like, yeah, you see this? That's my ship. I can't take you there, but you got to believe me.
Yeah, but it's always like with any time travel movie, or story. There's always some point where somebody in the time destination they're in has to have the fact revealed that, oh my gosh, this person I know is really from a different period in time. Oh my God. So at
Yeah.
least we got that moment. So I'm not surprised it happened, but
I would have appreciated a shot for shot recreation of the scene from Back to the Future when Marty goes into George McFly's room and he puts his Walkman on and he just blares Van Halen in his ears to show him something from the future. Now, granted, in 2024, obviously it's past the peak of Van Halen, but some variation on that, I guess. So we could have gotten some Klingon opera or something. But yeah, I know you do usually get that. Even Star Trek 4 has that moment, where there's the female character in Star Trek 4 that, by the fact that it is a single woman, she has to be a love interest for Kirk. Those were the rules back then. That's
right.
Any woman who's not married, and sometimes even if they are, they're a love interest for Kirk. All right. That's just the way that the show worked, and it's fine. And we loved it. Good point from Dominicus Saxon. That kid is going to end up being his great grandfather. Maybe, what's your middle name? Cristobal. What? And he beams away at the end. Oh man, what if we get like a say what? Like in this series,
a saith what?
A saith what?
What's frustrating is I did like just a little moment where Rios is talking to the doctor and says that the reason he likes Picard is because he's he didn't have a father, and so he's always looking for father figures, and he sees that in Picard. And I love that touch, but I'd also love for the show to actually show us more of that.
Yeah,
like their relationship.
Yeah, don't tell us that he sees him as a father figure. We should have felt that already, and honestly, I did not feel that. Craig is saying, isn't it in First Contact where Picard beams the lady up to the ship? I actually think that's true, but it definitely happens in Star Trek 4. They go, because remember they're in a Klingon warbird, Klingon bird of prey, excuse me. But yeah, they take them there. And
Alfred Woodard gets beamed up there in First Contact.
Yeah, so it's basically it's the same thing, and it's this moment. So it's like in Picard, they're checking off that box. It's exactly what Frank is saying. So it just reinforces the point that we were making. Is like, then you have to go there. But I'm trying to think if there's anybody that I'm happy with on this show. I appreciate Brent Spiner for not being in this episode. So thank you, Adam Song.
Yeah.
And
I was frustrated by the beat, because we've been asking what the deal is with Talos. And then we had to see like, oh wait, no, I really am Romulan. I just, it's a mask that a little chameleon thing on my ears. I have to wait 8 hours.
Yeah, no, that surprise. If there's anything that screams insert shot or reshoot, something about like they added that scene in because they're like, yeah, we got to give it something, because it felt very forced that it happened at that point. I was like, well, why didn't you mention it earlier? Let's talk about the return of young Guinan, who again, I think that actress does a great job being a younger version of Guinan. I have no problem with that. And a lot of the casting on a show is not the problem. It's really the writing. But trying to summon Q, we have all this, and then it just doesn't happen. And then the guy who comes in isn't a Q. And I thought at first that's what I thought we were getting. We're going to get like someone else in the Q continuum. And I'm certain we'll get an answer. I'm going to admit that I don't really care what the reason is, because I'm so disgusted with this show. I don't want to feel this way. I said it before. Flobo, the inability to summon Q. Did you have were you annoyed when he didn't show up when they go through all that?
You know what? I wasn't, because it'd be kind of easy peasy, because it happened very late in the episode where it's like, oh, surprise. You know what I mean? You can have the magical drink elixirs the first time. But to Frank's point, like the repeat beat, you've already had your critique on ICE, and now you're doing it with the FBI. It's just kind of like, this is the same thing. This is literally the same beat for beat issue. And this is already episode 7 of the season. So you're kind of like, give me something more. Like, give me a shootout. Give me a car chase. Just have somebody like, you're under arrest. You know, I don't get it. I don't get this being the cliffhanger. Because we know what's at stake, and we know this is going to be a side quest when it's all said and done. Because whatever Picard has up his sleeve is going to outsmart the American government. You know, just get on with it.
Yeah, and stay tuned for episode 9 when Picard really takes on the FCC. So he's gonna recruit Howard Stern to help him with that. In any case, Frank, the attempt to summon Q. And then it doesn't happen. I was already beaten down by that point in the episode, sort of like what Flobo's saying. I was just like, all right, he's not there. Can we just fade to black? Oh no, somebody has to come into the bar. What did you think, Frank?
Horribly disappointing. Just because I wanted this series to kick in the gear. I want the show to start putting their cards on the table and tell me what the deal is. And so the only thing that I could say I appreciated about the Guy and Picard scene is at least it was them at least trying to figure out a way to move the plot forward, as opposed to a lot of just going around in circles about like, who are you? No, I'm leaving, and I can't be here. I'm tired of humans. I'm leaving planet. And so the fact that we could actually have them having little snippets of the conversation, that was good. But the fact that it also ended up with this whole thing not working. And I'll be honest, I thought the summoning was just dopey.
I wish
dopey summonings.
I wish there had been an interpretive dance. You
know, I'm sorry, you summoning connoisseur. What were you expecting?
It's just the whole like, okay, we're gonna open up the button, and then I'm gonna take a shot, and then I'm gonna let out this weird sound. I don't know. For me, it just didn't play very well.
What did you want instead?
I'll tell you what I would have wanted.
Yeah.
I would have wanted that the instant that she got the bottle, the familiar dulcet sounds of Christina Aguilera filled our television screens, and we learned
no one under
that
the age of 30 to get that reference.
Q, we would learn that Q is a genie in a bottle, and you do have to rub him the right way.
Get that reference. Stop.
Look, if it had gone like just absurd like that, I would have been like, you know what? I've been wrong about this show the whole time.
Yeah.
If it turned into like a Monty Python sketch, I would be like, all right, thank you for just doing something different and trying to make it work.
Giant foot. Just
but the idea that this does reinforce that something's wrong with Q. We saw that his didn't work. So I don't know. I mean, I'm at least that is a thread that I'm like intrigued by. But if like I went to bed tonight and Paramount Plus crashed and they were never able to revive it and we could never catch up on any of the content that was supposed to air on it, I'd get over it pretty quickly. I would be
fine. This is like the last adventure, and he just ends up in jail in the past.
If only Christian watched how it has ended. Oh, Earl Grey hot, please.
It's like, oh, it's too bad that Picard ended up in a prison in 2024. Don't you ever wonder what happened with that? No.
Yeah. No. Anyway, Christopher Pike's coming soon.
Yeah, right, exactly. I know, Captain Pike, please rescue us. Even though, and Frank and I did mention it, you weren't here, Flobo, but that hairstyle for Spock, look out. But yeah. Good question, Dominicus Saxon. If the summoning didn't work, why all the wind knocking over stuff and all of that? And Craig, you'd think that as he isn't the only Q, another one could just pop in to cause crazy capers. Where's Corbin Burnson?
Absolutely.
I've referenced him several times. There are other members of the Q Continuum, and by the way, you can bring in a member of the Q Continuum we've never met before.
Yeah,
so you can
absolutely.
you could literally cast anyone. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if it's somebody that if there's supposed to be some issue with Q, another member of the Continuum can also start breaking down why John Delancey Q is on the outs.
Yeah. Dominicus Saxon has a great observation. It would be like the final episode of Seinfeld all over again, where you just leave them there in the prison cell. Yeah.
Boom, dum, 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 dum.
Yeah. Tracking Girardi and seeing the breaking of the glass and not really getting that much out of that storyline. I was just, I don't know. I mean, I think she's the character that's annoying me the most right now for letting the Borg Queen live inside her head. You know?
I mean, who didn't see that coming?
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah,
Come on.
Picard said, "Don't do this. You can't do this." She's like, "No, fine. It'll be fine."
And of all the characters, it wasn't like someone who was neutral. Like if Rios did it, or even Rafi, you would say, "Okay, this is dumb, but okay." But here's someone who really was the villain, kind of, sort of last season.
There's a reason we call her Crazy Murder Doctor. And then somebody, was it you, Craig, that named her Crazy Murder Borg? Because it's fair. That's who she is now. And
can I just say props to Dominic calling Jay Carnes Wagenbach? That is a deep cut. I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, that's actually the second. He did that in an earlier post too. Yeah, and look, maybe he is a Q, and that's why he said we're law enforcement. Yeah, if that's the reveal that he's a Q, that tidies up that one thing. But oh, by the way, I don't know why I would go back to episode 6, but the question was asked on Twitter, and showrunner Terry Matalas answered that they did have a beat where the Borg Queen like hacked into the lighting system and like put back on some electricity, because that was one of my big points last week. If you caused a blackout, why is there a spotlight? They had a moment where they actually showed that and then decided to cut it out for time. But then that begs the question, your episode was 38 fucking minutes long. Right. So you didn't have time for that?
I digress.
I digress.
Don't
so
digress.
What made me think about that is that would tidy up the one thing of him saying law enforcement, but then it's also not good storytelling. So I don't know.
But for that comment about maybe he's part of the Q and continuum, and they're going to get it right. We'll explain that next week. I still feel like it's a better cliffhanger for them to announce that at the end of this episode than do this FBI fake.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I want this? Why are we going to end out on a repetitive FBI arrest fake rather than kind of giving me some kind of cool stinger about the Q continuum?
So you think that if it comes back next week and it's just kidding, we're actually Q continuum, that will be a cop out for you then? Or do you want to see him actually go to prison?
It would it'd be lame. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that? I mean, why make that? That's like a lame ending you're giving me. I mean, I'd be much more excited about, we're members of the Q continuum, we're here to talk, or whatever it might be. We go to credits. I'm like, cool. All right. We're going to have a conversation next week about this. Why are we wasting time with them just saying, oh, no. Guess what? We really are the Q, but we just said we were FBI or law enforcement just for that second. Like, I feel like that you're just wasting time when you could be like telling better
palette, Frank Moran.
So
not easily impressed.
Flobo, we were talking about how there's a part of me that feels like if I was never able to watch the next 3 episodes, I would probably be okay with it. And you were just saying earlier that you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't basically conscripted into the army of the Blackcast YouTube channel and being forced to be here. This is basically like jury duty. You you have to appear at some point.
By the way, check out all the episode of Biden Time next week on the Blackcast Network.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I don't even know what we'll be talking about on that. But you're absolutely right. It is an every other week arrangement now, because talk about worlds I can't live in more than every other week. Politics would be one of them. But in any case, the question for you, Flobo, will you be okay to not see how season 2 of Picard goes and just not watch the rest?
I'm torn, because I was going to say, when I got the musical number, I go, I am done. To hell with this. Like that, to me, I will be jumping the shark. And I'm only finishing it now because I'm on the show. But now I feel like I have to complete the season. This is what happened to me in like the season 8 of Dexter. There was a point in season 8 of Dexter, you're like, they're not. They putting themselves into a corner. There's no way this is going to be good. But I put 8 years in. Let me see how it ends. So I'm at that point now with Picard. But if I wasn't hype or wasn't around people who got hype with the trailer for season 3, I probably would have stopped watching this wholesale. But people have told me the TNG group is back, so give them the chance. I make sure I'm up on game. So a lot of asterisks there.
There's a lot of asterisks. Yeah, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, you can watch those 3 episodes like right before season 3 is going to premiere and then be like, oh, is there anything I need to know? And then you'll watch them and you'll probably be like, oh, I did not need to watch that. But, I mean, you'll know at least how they get to wherever they are at the start of season 3.
Oh, in that case, if it was for me, I'll probably drop the next 2 and then watch the finale and then see what's going on.
Oh, just jump right to the finale.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah.
on,
I can predict that. I'm not going to tell you need to watch all 3. I just, you might be able to just watch our show, watch our next 3 episodes. That'll be good enough. Frank, have you ever can you think of a time that you've just wanted a show, a movie, possibly a family function, a wedding, a traffic jam, something that you've wanted to be over just as much as season 2 of Star Trek Picard?
It's true. It does rank up there with any sort of like dentist appointment, like dental cleaning. You're like, oh man. And tough to say which one I'd want over quicker. That, or I might sit in the dentist chair a little longer.
I know what you mean. Because it is like a root canal, like his pain's coming. It's like a routine cleaning when you hit a nerve by accident. You're like, one of those things.
Yeah. So it is such a bummer because as somebody who loves Star Trek, and it's just disappointing to be unexcited and underwhelmed by a show I should be predisposed to really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Next Generation so much, and and as I said, despite all of this, I still love Jean-Luc Picard. I will. They won't take that away from me. They can try, and they are trying really hard. But I should be so excited every week instead of the opposite. Where it's just like, oh my God, I gotta watch another one of these, and. And next week, by the way, programming note, Nikki and I will be doing the show Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern. So that means I got to watch it kind of like right away, just schedule wise. Now, Frank, I think you're a responsible member of society, and you'll probably have to be working during that time.
I will be. Yes.
So you will not have to be here with us. So you might get the privilege of getting to just take a week off, and then you have to watch episodes 8 and 9 together.
I mean, I will probably still watch it next week anyway,
probably.
just to at least, so I can be in the conversation. I gotta be up to date on like Robert Meyer Burnett's tweets about the current state of Star Trek. So I want to be up to date on that.
I think what Dominica Saxon says is probably what a lot of people feel at this point. I'm just hanging on so I can enjoy the 3rd season. I tweeted something yesterday that is very much because after I watched the episode, I just couldn't keep it all inside. I couldn't wait, like 30 hours until we were doing the show. I had to tweet about how much I don't like the show. And as somebody was just like, I don't know, I've watched the first 3 and I'm liking it. And all I wrote back to that person was, just wait. Because like through 3 episodes it was like mildly disappointing, and now it's like life-changing bad. What were you going to say, Flobito?
I didn't grow up with TNG, so my perspective was kind of skewed, but to me what made Picard cool is that even if it was wrong and had many different scenes in the ready room, there was a problem and he worked a solution and he delegated, and it was kind of cool. But now we're watching a show where things are happening and Picard's reacting to it. He's not really making any active choices himself. Seems like a total like selling out that character. And again, I'm not as much familiar with him as this, so it's kind of like this weird experience to watch the opposite what I think someone is. It's like Superman crying a lot. It's kind of like you can, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, everything you said is spot on. It is like Superman crying a lot. It's like in Superman 2 when he goes to the Fortress of Solitude and he's like, I don't want to be Superman anymore.
It's
Really?
like,
For Margot Kidder? You're gonna
right.
throw it all away?
I
I mean, that's
he
not
doesn't
even
want
Terry
to.
Hatcher. I mean, come on.
That's the
Come
one.
on.
Going off the gentleman's tweet about saying that he's just holding on for season 3, I can understand that, but for the two of you, do you have my confidence is very shaky at best for the quality of season 3. As much as
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it, I can't.
no,
You,
yeah,
I don't know.
especially because the same people are involved. Yeah, I know. I'm very worried about it. But here's the thing: at least it's gonna be Geordi and Worf and Dr. Crusher. It's like he's gonna be bad with characters that we still have not seen. We've seen Riker, we've seen Troy, but we're going to be back with the whole gang. And if misery loves company, so we can be miserable with our old friends. But no, yeah, if like when they announced season 1, they kind of mapped out what all 3 seasons were, and they said, and the third one's going to bring everyone back, I would be so much more excited than I am right now. I'm excited because it'll be great to see everyone and just see what they decide to do with everyone. And there are the questions of what are they going to have decided to do with Worf, because post DS9 Worf is not necessarily the same as Nemesis Worf, and which one are they going to have found a way to sort of combine those. So there's a lot of questions that I have, but I don't have confidence that it'll be good. It'll probably be disappointing, but I mean, a big part of the problem with the show is the characters from last year that were all new characters that we really, I mean, didn't like that much. I understand Flobo's point of view of having Raffi sort of be this outsider looking in, but just in general, it's like it's a lot of stuff I don't care about, and I care about those characters mostly because of my affinity for them, and also because I know that LeVar Burton taught so many kids how to read.
True.
So I'll be glad to see him back.
I mean, the one thing that season 3 does have in its favor is that the Next Generation cast has been in a few bad movies. So it's like you've already seen them be in bad stories. So I'm already
Yeah.
kind of like, all right, I'm used to seeing them in not great material. So if season 3 turns out to be not great material, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, you've ruined this. I'm like, there was Insurrection, there was Nemesis. Those are clunkers. So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like at the very least, having everyone from the bridge will at least have moments of like nostalgia that can have some charm to move everything. But I want a ship, and Picard either doing it or being the first officer on a ship. The first episode of the season had promise, and then they said, nah. So if we get that, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the old going in for the high five, going in for the high five. Psych.
We're going to LA in 2024.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Oh, question. Do
Yeah.
we want Elnor back, or is he cool being dead? Is he?
I found, I mean, look, I think if he'd been around this whole season, he probably would have worn out his welcome too. But I mean, I liked him as a character last year. I think that the Absolute Candor is a really fun device, and it sort of brings a Spock energy. If they had, and that's why I assumed he was there. And then they went and had him be dead. So I like that character, and I don't know. I think that it's sort of the representation that, like, look, all of this was worth it because we were able to bring back or to prevent Elmer from dying. I don't know. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because at least that character that the Vulcan slash Romulan kind of way they handle emotion and situations that was nice, and the action sequences too. I mean, at least that other than 7 or 9, I mean, the other ones, yes, they've been Starfleet trained, but you know, there's just something about Eleanor's action scenes that just had a little bit more of a level to them, so it made it more interesting to watch. And so that you're just watching a bunch of people like kind of bumbling around without him. So I'd be fine with him, but also great that he comes back alive and Rafi can breathe easy. But I don't need to see him in season 3 because I'd rather I just want as much of the TNG cast as possible.
Yeah.
Give me 7 and give me the TNG cast and dump everybody else.
Yeah, I know that Flobo, I know how much you like Raffi, but I would actually like us to not see any of those characters in season 3. If
What's the point?
tie them up. I don't mean literally. Tie up their storylines from at the end of season 2, and then have season 3 just be the greatest hits tour that we wanted this show to be. Hey, remember the 90s?
That can't happen.
Let's just bring the whole gang back.
That absolutely can't happen. Look, as much as I go to bat for Raffi, I understand she's the most popular character, but you do that and say, you know what, it's going to be a TNG kind of like swan song type deal. You totally made the first 2 seasons irrelevant. That would just piss me off even more. Give me some kind of through line. Like have them there in the background. I don't know, twisted knobs or something.
Yeah, but if you think every situation, are you like at least for me, any scene that you tell me about, if you start listing the characters, Riker, Troy, Geordi, Crusher, I'm going to get excited about it. And then you mentioned Rafi. I'm like, do we need her in there? Why do we need her in there?
Fair enough. But I mean, for those who are, let's say, the hardcore fans who just came across the show and say, oh, the first 2 seasons don't count. We're doing something completely different. That sounds terrible. And that's besides my love for Rafi. I'm just saying Rios can find a way to work with these guys or gals. No,
I'll tell you that they would have me more excited for season 3 if beforehand they said seasons 1 and 2 don't count. That if at the end of season 2, Patrick Duffy walks out of the shower, I think I said this in an earlier episode, and the whole season was just a dream, then great. If it did, if the seasons 1 and 2 of Picard are a holodeck simulation for Riker, then I'd be like, yeah, okay. Okay. So here's what it is. All right. I definitely made this comparison before, I think, on this show, that if they treat the 3 seasons as the film Clue, how there were the 3 different endings, and when most people see it, you see it, the version of Clue with the 3 endings put together. But when it was in theaters, you would have gotten one of the different endings. And so this is basically like season 1 is like, that's the end. And season 2 is like, or it could have happened this way. Then season 3 is going to be like, but here's what really happened. So then the first 2 just like forget.
Oh
no, look, this is all terrible. Every part of this is terrible. I'm not disagreeing with any of this.
If we have Patrick Duffy come out of the shower, which I'm not opposed to, it has to be the shower from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It's got to be that shower.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to. I'm not opposed to that.
I'm not opposed to that. Not at all.
No, I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to see that? Anyway, anybody in the live chat or watching the archive version, tell me I'm being too hard on this show. Tell me that Frank and I are the ultimate Star Trek Debbie Downers. Tell us that you love this show, but you're going to have to show your work. Tell us why you love this show. And I'll be a little bit hostile and I'll say, how could you possibly love this show? But show us, tell us. I wish I loved this. I'm very unapologetically a fan of Discovery. And the first 2 seasons more so than the second 2, but I still think it's a great show. I still think it's one of the better shows on TV. Even though this past season was a little slow for me, I thought that the story itself was good. I can't feel that way for this show. And I would expect the roles to be reversed. That a show with Jean-Luc Picard would be the one where I'm like making all the excuses for, but it's inexcusable. So
yeah. The other thing I'd love for people to chat in if they want to chime away on is for season 3, are you like Flobo and you want the supporting cast of Picard also in season 3, or just are you all just TNG all the way and you don't need any of these Picard cast members in season 3? Because that's the way to go. That is.
Craig, guess not even Gaius fracking Baltar could save the season. Absolutely.
Oof.
Dominicus Saxon just kind of, he's conversing with someone else in the chat, but he basically nails it. He says the series is not going very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we just need to be focused, man. I don't understand why they're giving us everything at once. If it was going to be a strictly LA arc save Q, it would have been the best story. Please would have a clear direction. But with
Yeah, no,
that,
I agree with that. That wouldn't be the best story, but if it was at least focused and it followed what you felt like they were going to do at the outset, that would be fine. I think we'll probably look back at the season and these last couple episodes, and unfortunately probably the next one. So like there's probably like a 7 or 8 episode, the way that you can pinpoint they could have told this story in 7 or 8 episodes, but they didn't.
right.
And we'll have to revisit that at the end. For episodes 9 and 10, our show will be back to the regular time of Thursday at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. And sorry, Craig, I don't know what time that is for you, but I know it's very late. So, Flobo, you will not be joining us again for Picard. And I am usually very jealous of you, but now I'm just incredibly envious that you don't have to watch these unless you choose to. But if people want to catch your show, Commander's Log, and any of your other new content, how do they do that?
I just want to say, man, having a show where we're talking about Picard's mom issues and the fact he doesn't commit to someone is kind of weird. But anyway, it's Commander's Log is available on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Flobo Boyce. That's every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. We're doing some of the animated shows as we get ready for Strange New Worlds, which is dropping Cinco de Mayo of this year. Otherwise, check me out over at flowbeetle.com. New content every day.
Frank, if somebody would like to either disagree or going back into the theme of earlier of Misery Loves Company and commiserate with someone who is also disliking Picard as much as them, how do they find you?
That's right. I'm ready here with a little glass of Romulan ale and a warm hug. Come to me. Tell me your tales of woe about Picard. At Happy Go Jackie on Twitter and Instagram. At Flobo, do not tell me that you're not going to come back for the finale of Picard.
Well, he can't actually. He's a working man.
Oh, what is it? What's your excuse this time?
Formula One in Miami.
Exactly.
I'm actually doing the Commander's Log on location that week. So
nice.
Yeah.
I will only accept that excuse if you're driving one of the cars. And if not, then I will not.
I would have lived with that. Yeah.
I love that Dominicus Saxon says, "Great show, guys. Thanks." I mean, this show, not Picard. I'm glad that I'm glad that everybody's on our side at least. That I feel like if we were doing this for AfterBuzz and we had that spotlight on us,
you gotta be more positive.
This would not be appreciated. But honestly, I think it's very important to be honest, so that when I tell you that I feel this way about this, and then I come back for Discovery season 5 and I tell you I love it, I'm not pretending, because I wouldn't pretend to hate something this much. I just I cannot believe how much I dislike this. It's shocking how much I dislike this. But as I said earlier, Nikki and I will be with you next Thursday at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern, and we will talk about episode 9. Nikki's the real winner this week. she's living in a world where she hasn't seen this yet. So I was jealous of Flobo, but now I'm more jealous of Nikki. But please subscribe to Blackcast YouTube channel, BLADTCAST. And of course, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And if you subscribe to the Blackcast YouTube channel, you'll get the aforementioned Biden time. We did a Supreme Court special last week. And I have no idea what we're doing next week, but something. And our show, Marvel Movie Talk, is Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And we are right now sort of acting as an after show for Moon Knight. So if you want to talk Moon Knight, you can do that. Yes, sir. Flobito.
Has Marvel Movie Talk eclipsed the number of episodes of Marvel Movie News?
I wish Daniel Drew were in the chat right now, because he knows the exact number of episodes of Marvel Movie News. and he knows how many episodes of Marvel Movie Talk, and he has them separated because we have special episodes. Like we did a not so special Morbius special earlier in the week, which
On
you can
brand.
find on the Blackcast YouTube channel. And we'll do we'll do Doctor Strange in a few weeks, that stuff too. So he knows the exact number. I think there's more episodes of Marvel movie news, but we've done probably we've done like 150, I think. So it's a lot, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so subscribe, and we'll go through the episode count on our next episode. Flobo won't be there, but I'll get the answer for him. And borrowing from Moon Knight, Laters Gators. Yes, we will see you all Thursday. And even when Star Trek makes it difficult for us to do so, I will always encourage all of you to not just live long, but to also prosper.